from the right notes. March 27th, BZA meeting for Dorchester County Board of Zoning Appeals. It is determined that we do have a quorum tonight. And at this time, I would like to ask Mr. Dixon if he would give the invocation, please.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you today for your many blessings. We thank you for your peace, your protection, and provision. We thank you and we reverence you now. We thank you for this meeting. We ask you to bless this meeting to the upbuilding of thy kingdom. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother. If you'll rise with me and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. At this time, the board will entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the minutes be received and adopted with any necessary correction.
We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a second by Mr. Reeves. Is there any additions, deletion, corrections that were observed? I'll second. Okay, we got another second. All in favor, vote by the usual signs. Aye. Aye. Ayes have it. It's unanimous. At this time, we'll go into variance request special exception applications. We will start with Section A. It's a variance request from Section 10.4.2 IF to place an accessory structure in the secondary front yard. The applicants are Brandon and Christina Lenz, if I've got that correct. Staff, if you would please give us the details.
Thank you, Your Honor. We received this application in order to accommodate the placement of an in-ground swimming pool. This is regarded as an accessory structure within the definitions. This would be proposed within the required front yard. This is in conflict with the requirements of Section 10.4.2 1F that requires accessory structures to be in side or rear yards. We received application for accessory structure and had to deny that, so that is why the applicant has turned this in today. Lot configuration here is a bit unique. There's a large amount of frontage here right on War Trace Court and Scarlet Court. So their lot line starts here, comes all around here. Majority of the lot is considered a front yard. They really only have a small area here behind the house that would be considered, well, even that is questionable. It'd have to be behind the plane of the building. So very small amount of area that would be considered a side or a rear yard. Reviewing the plans provided by the applicant, there just doesn't appear to be any sufficient space for their accessory structure within that area. We have some photographs of the property. We attached those for reference. They also provided numerous letters of support from the neighbors regarding the request. Those are attached for your reference. Property owner also has fenced in this area. Pull up the pictures there to give you an idea of what that looks like. This all is considered front yard, but that fence is up. Our requirements don't prohibit the fence from being in the front yard. Those are all positive items, we believe, for the application. However, the board is required to review the application as a matter of hardship. Hardship appears to be an enforcement placement of the home, also a unique lot that was platted here. We do have some concern on how we could require continued maintenance and upkeep of this fence. I would note that typically something like that comes up as complaint driven. So if there is a concern that if that were a condition of approval, it would be something we wouldn't be driving around checking out to make sure their fence is up. It'd be a complaint basis likely. So based on that, we reviewed this request upon the accordance of state law for consideration of a variance, and we provide you with the following findings of fact. We believe the lot was created as a corner lot with a large amount of street frontage and no rear yard. As noted above, the property has a large amount of frontage and the house is placed in such a manner which deems an unusual amount of property to be within the required front yard and limited amount of side yard. Number 3, the application of the ordinance on this lot creates a situation where it is not possible to place their proposed pool within a side or a rear yard. The situation is a result of both the platting of the lot and the placement of the home. Number 4, the applicant has existing a 6-foot privacy fence to provide a screening of the pool from the street frontage to address the possible detriment to adjacent properties. The board could, within our ordinance, place a continued maintenance and upkeep of the 6-foot privacy fence as a condition of approval. Based on those four findings, staff finds the application does not meet the requirements as it pertains to detriment for a variance. However, if the board considers a condition to the variance acceptable, staff would find the application can meet the requirements for a variance and would therefore recommend approval with that condition that that fence be maintained to provide that screening for the required in-ground pool. So they'd have to maintain that fence so long as that pool exists. Thank you, Your Honor. Applicant is available for any questions, as am I.
Thank you, staff. Does the board have any questions for staff on this at this time? Is the applicant present tonight? If you'd like to come forward and maybe fill in any details or give us a little more information, if you would raise your right hand. I promise to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. And state your name. Thank you, sir. Please go ahead and let us know a little bit more about this.
Yeah, so Brandon Lentz, along with my wife Christine, the homeowner of 5004 Dorchester Court. With minimal room on the application, I just wanted to kind of expound on those four elements for requesting the variance, if that's okay. The extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the piece of property. 5004 Dorchester Court is a peninsula-shaped piece of property surrounded by Dorchester Court that bends to create the front and side to the front, as well as Scarlet Court, which is the cul-de-sac to the rear of the home. The building location for a pool on the property is significantly impacted by eliminating any designated left side or rear side of the property as the ordinance states. A reasonable look at the layout of the property would indicate that the proposed pool location is located in what many members of my community do deem as the home's backyard. Strict application of this ordinance is rejecting any possible location on the property for the addition of the pool. The conditions, as stated, are peculiar to this piece of property because of the 124 homes in the community. No other property is located on a peninsula-shaped lot that is surrounded by roads to the front, side, and rear. The peculiar conditions are negatively impacting normal use of this property. The lot is 13,954 square feet, of which 12,000 square feet is designated as front yard through the strict application of the ordinance. These conditions are peculiar to 5004 War Trace Court and does not apply to any other property in the vicinity. The application of the ordinance creates an unnecessary hardship, as in literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance will effectively prohibit and unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property for therapeutic and recreational purposes, resulting in this unnecessary hardship. There is no way to build a pool on the property without utilization of what is reasonably situated as a backyard on the property. The authorization of the variance is not a substantial detriment to the adjacent property or public good. The pool plan would not be detrimental to the use and enjoyment of other properties in the immediate vicinity. As mentioned, I have 12 letters from all my neighbors that provided support. They've been included with the variance request. 9 of those are all the homes that are within 250 yards of the property, and then 3 additional. It's going to continue to get more, but I just stopped there. I've got no pushback from anyone in the community from speaking about this. The part about the fence, I'll just mention real quick, unless the stipulation of Dorchester County, if I'm mistaken, you have to have a fence anyways for a pool. So does the county drive around to make sure that those fences are maintained for everybody's pool? Not to say that I'm not going to it. I maintain my property very well. If that is a stipulation, I will agree to that. It would be ridiculous. But any questions? That is my case. I appreciate you guys' support and supporting this variance.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant at this time?
I just have one question. Your HOA has no issues with this?
No, I have approved.
Okay.
And it does appear that, you know, your family keeps meticulous care of your property, which I think every homeowner knows is a handful task. You've planted and maintained all of the plantings and beds and everything to the exterior of the fence as well?
Some of it conveys as well as the fence, but I have maintained it and I have done some of my own landscaping, yes.
Right. Great. All right. Well, we appreciate your time, appreciate the information. Anyone else for this particular variance here to speak for or against? I'll close public comment at this time. Board will entertain a motion or any further discussion on the topic.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request as presented due to the unique lot size. I think that's a hardship and an extraordinary condition based on the other lots in the neighborhood. So I would say that we approve it, with the stipulation that the 6-foot privacy fence, solid privacy fence be maintained.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the usual signs. Aye. Votes unanimous. Variance is approved. All right, second special exception request for an RV park in an AR agricultural residential district. Applicants are Felicia and John Britt. Staff, if you could give us the details on this, please.
Yes, sir. This is a 15-acre piece of property off of Second Texas Road. And there's currently an existing house right up against Second Texas Road on the property, a large open field, and then there's a clubhouse in the back of the property. And what the request is for a 20-unit RV park, which is to be situated up closer towards Second Texas, adjacent to the residence, taking up the first half of the field. And then I think there's a DHEC permit that is on its way through the works for a dump station that would serve the units on there. Let's see here. Recent zoning, so I think we've seen several of these types of requests recently. You're all familiar with the fact that the absence of controls district allowed a wide variety of commercial and industrial uses. Most of those have gone away, but RV parks are retained as a special exception request. We've also discussed recent ordinance amendments addressing RV parks. However, those are not complete yet. They have not been adopted. They do not apply to the request. Staff will note, however, that the lack of adopted standards does not prevent the board from asking the applicant to address or even requiring certain items as provided under section 14.5.5, which allows you to do that. There was a site plan provided in the application. It's not quite to the level of detail we'd want to see for technical review committee. It doesn't have to be for this board, but staff would prefer to see a request of this nature go through the technical review committee prior to the Board of Zoning Appeals review. We'd just prefer to see an engineered site plan showing all those required elements to scale, the lot lines, setbacks, buffers, RV pads and hookup locations, proposed cell, well, and septic, dumpsters, amenity areas, all of those things we'd prefer to see on a more detailed site plan prior to the board making decision. And we'd also like to see more thorough responses to those supplemental questions. They were included in your application. I think some of them we'd just like to see more thorough responses on. This area in general is very rural in nature, large lots, wooded lots, agricultural. Second Texas Road is a state-maintained, I think it's a rural collector, connects with Highway 15. We do feel that it's sufficient to handle low volumes of RV traffic to and from the site, but we do have some concerns about the operation of an RV park on the site. And this is due to the existing clubhouse on the rear of the property. We have received several noise complaints over the past 2 years related to late-night activities. And these activities tend to conflict with the quiet time hours that are provided for in the application. And while the two uses are separate, and the clubhouse is absolutely not under consideration with this request tonight, it just seems that the individual staying in the RV park would just be impacted by those activities, which again could be fleshed out through more thorough answers in the supplemental questions. So when we looked at it, we provided the following findings. One, that accommodation uses require special exception approval in the AR district. Two, that this area is predominantly rural, large lot residences and agriculture. Three, the site is located on a state-maintained collector, can handle low trips generated by the proposed use. Number four, the recommendations of the comp plan and future land use designation recommends the preservation of rural character, low-density development. Five, if approved, the use of this site would be limited to that provided for in this application, which is the 20 RV sites. Future expansion would require an additional approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals. 6, site plan does not provide a clear picture of how the site will be laid out and all required zoning elements addressed. And 7, staff has also received a number of calls regarding concerns with the existing and with the proposed activities on the site. So based on these facts, we would support denial of the request. However, if the board does find that the location and the use might be appropriate, staff would recommend a deferral in order to have the applicant provide additional information regarding the operation of the site and a more detailed site plan, meeting the requirements in our ordinance for a sketch plan.
Thank you, Madam Administrator. At this time, do any of the board members have any questions further for staff in regards to this? All right. So is the applicant available? Okay, give me 1 second. Is there anyone here that also wishes to speak for or against? Please raise your hand. Okay. All right. So at this time, we will have the applicant, Mr. and Mrs. Britt, please come forward. Good evening. If you would raise your right hand. I swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you. If you would just state your name for the record. Thank you. So tell us a little bit more about what you're working on here.
So, we're working on proposing an RV park, to fit with the current trend of the travel and vacation group for retirees and those who are seeking to travel. I did hear that you said that there was noise complaints currently for the property. That clubhouse is no longer going to be it's no longer going to be an issue. Yes, that's my uncle's clubhouse, and I'm actually in New Jersey now, but I will be coming over and taking over this project. I'm not sure, this is my first time hearing about these noise complaints, but as you can see, my uncle has rented out this facility to other people. So I think that's where the issue is. So I think as of May, it's no longer going to be an issue. We're shutting that down completely.
Okay.
The resident to the other side is my uncle's property, the house. So that's not an issue either.
So you stated coming down to kind of run the project. Are you
Yeah.
going to, given the variance is granted, are you going to be kind of the operator manager of
I am. I'm
the
the-
property, the park?
Correct. I
Okay.
am currently a director of operations for my own company. I'm a realtor. I'm also a project manager, so this is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is,
Will you reside on the property during operation?
I will not reside on that property, but I will be in the area as I make my transition, because currently, like I said, I live in New Jersey. So now I'm just looking in.
Forgive me, I took the part from New Jersey, and I guess I should have explained a little bit. I'm thinking also a little bit more down the road, like if the variance was to be granted and you got everything up and running, and once it was fully operational, if you yourself would be there.
I won't be residing on the park, on the land, but I will be in the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you have any 24-hour manager or personnel?
I will have Britt Property Management Group will manage the property for 24 hours.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay. It's all right. I do feel like it will be a good fit for the area. I think that as more and more people jump on board with the RV, tiny travel home trailer movement for vacationers and travelers, I think that, having this type of location for that type of area, I think it fits the need that you currently have.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
So with the septic, this is going to be septic system, correct? Have you gotten anybody to look at it, to see about
Yes.
perking and the fact that it
Yes.
will work for 20?
It actually is going to work for 37, but we wanted to start off with with 20. On-site septic engineering, they completed the drawings, they completed everything, they submitted it to DHEC, and they're working on the approval as we speak. And as far as the drawing, a more professional drawing, that's in the works as well. It was supposed to be given to me before the meeting today. Unfortunately, those designers and architects wouldn't be able to give it to me until Friday. So,
Okay.
Got a question?
And well,
Go ahead.
real quick, just to follow up. So every site that you planned, all 20 sites will have hookups for septic?
dump station, they will have
They'll
a
have a dump station?
Mhm.
Okay, but it's on the property? Yeah, you
Yeah.
drew it
Yes.
here, but,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
So, I'm sorry, yes, sir, Mr. Dixon?
I just wanted to ask, do you have, I know you're a project manager, you talked about that, but I wanted to ask, do you have specific experience in managing this? Are you going to be direct manager, or are you seeing yourself as oversight?
I'm going to be direct hands-on. Like I said, I'm a realtor already in New Jersey, and I have my own, I invest in real estate. So seeing projects from the ground up, more so I work with new construction and different types of construction. However, this is my first time doing an RV park, but I don't see an issue in that. I'm
Right.
very
And I
good
was,
at what I do.
and I was talking about, instead of the cradle to grave, the construction and everything and the organization and all that, the funding and whatnot, the meetings and post-award walkthrough, I was talking about things like afterward. Now you got the people there. Now you got to deal with the day-to-day things you're going to have.
Oh, yes, I've planned on, I have a staff of who, like, potentially I'm looking to hire, but as of now, I'm just waiting for all the approvals and everything to go through, and then I can take my time to see which type of positions that we're going to need for this particular property.
Okay?
I have a question. Tell me what your idea of an RV park is.
Well, my idea, I know that there are permanent structures, but that is not what I'm looking to have for this particular park. I'm actually looking for short-term rentals, no RVs that's over 15 years. I'm not looking for permanent homes for, to come and camp over 3 months. That's not my idea of an RV park. My idea of an RV park is for those who want to vacation and travel. They have a place to hook up and to enjoy, maybe a week or two, a month at the most, and then they go. Quiet time is from 10 to 7 a.m. I do have a plan that where I want to have like just a social area for the community as well. I was just speaking to him about a privacy fence, being able to secure the little RV community in itself. Just a family-oriented community where people can come and go as they please and enjoy their vacation. Not the city life, but maybe like a little camp, country type setting.
The reason I ask is you had mentioned something about tiny houses.
So not tiny homes per se, tiny home travel trailers. You see the little tiny ones that they can travel on the back, just like a RV, the RV travel trailers. Tiny homes per se, no, because those are permanent, those are intended to be permanent structures. This is not what I intend to having, more so RV. But there are some tiny home travel trailers that I've seen in RV parks recently. They're really, really small. So I wanted to include them as well, but they fall under the RV photo type.
Another question, buffering. What are you conceptually thinking about as far as buffering the RV park from the road and from, so that it is, as you're wanting to say, it's rural and country life, or how are you going to?
Well, I think having the privacy fence on this side where his residence is, we can block off that. Also, landscaping, I plan on having certain flowers, certain trees. I planned on having the privacy fence with the gate so that instead of people just coming in at any times, there will be a check-in time and a check-out time. And just making the community nice. Landscaping, any type of add-on to make the property look nice. Because right now it's open space and there's a clubhouse in the back. And I just actually, the last time I was here and this time right here, I was actually riding the property just to see the improvements. I'm real big on, because I have a property management company, and I'm real big on maintaining the property. And so I can already see where there needs to be certain trash receptacles, certain things that's going to make sure that the property is well-maintained and well-kept.
And not to speak out for anyone, but I think staff can reinforce this. A lot of that will also be reinforced and laid out through TRC.
That's correct.
Yeah, through the Technical Review Committee. You know, they'll help also work with you to develop those kind of things. So it seems like moving in the right direction. Any further questions for the applicant?
So you mentioned, you know, we have limited information here about setbacks, hours of operations, things like that. But I think you mentioned Friday, you would have more information on that?
So yes, I was supposed to have the whole site plan with everything that she mentioned laid out, more details,
Right.
but they weren't able to meet their deadline. So
Okay, so what's included? Is that like a real site plan?
It is a real site
That would
plan.
show buffer and the
Yes.
details of
Yes.
everything, the
Everything.
plantings?
Stamp
yes,
plans?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, we thank you for your time. We may call you back up pending, pending what we field from the rest of the public comment. So thank you. Appreciate that. It was very informative. All right. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? All right, sir, come on up. And if you would just state your
Thank y'all for
name.
a minute of your time. I'm
Yeah, if
Barney
you would just state
Atkinson.
your name.
Barney Atkinson.
Okay. I promise that,
I promise.
this will kind of go for everybody,
Okay.
if you'll just kind of heed, that way we can get it over with. I promise to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
My name again is Barney Atkinson. I'm probably one of the longest and oldest broker realtors in this area of the state. Extensive developments in the lake and, you know, Utah, Santee area in particular. And I moved over here about 10 years ago on Second Texas. I'm about 200 yards roughly from the entrance to their property. And I'm, number one, obviously being a broker, and I'm speaking as an individual property owner, but as a broker, I'm very appreciative and respectful of growth. It's good. It's sustained in quality and in keeping with what's around it. I'm very appreciative and much so of zoning laws, regulations, and restrictions. They keep things in line. It's the very reason that I bought my property where I am. I've got an extensive investment there. As a broker, what they're proposing to go in there is not conducive to value for a residential area. It's not conducive to maintaining the character of residential properties that we have there. They have their place. I don't think this is one of them. We've had a huge problem. We've had the displeasure of listening to constant calls to deputies, sheriffs, law enforcement at this location. That can be verified by y'all quite easily. I didn't have enough time. I just found out about this a couple of days ago. But that information, which you all know, is freedom of information. You can obtain it, but it's extensive, and I think this will be a continuance and you know, of what's there to a degree. She's already alluded to the fact, just from what I heard, that she wants to double the size of this in the future, from 20 to 37. Where does that go from there? Also, is there going to be an events building there, you know, to accommodate people? Is that something that can be slid in on the side, because you've got a building there, which most campgrounds have, and I do that extensively. From here to Montana we go. We RV, and we appreciate it. But most of them do have events and events buildings, and I'm not for that. I won't keep you any longer, but I think I've made my point to a degree. I'm not in favor of this for those reasons, and if you have any questions of me, I'd be glad to answer them as a broker, developer, and property owner.
Anyone have any questions from Mr. Atkinson? Thank you so much.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you for your point of view. Would someone else like to speak for or against? If you would, just state your name, ma'am.
I'm Regina Leggett.
Thank
I
you.
live on Radio Road, which is about a half a mile from what this perceived operation is going to be. I'm kind of in a unique situation because I moved from being a half a mile from a big campground, Rocks Pond in Utahville. And I can tell you from experience, the landowners around there, because at one time I camped in Rocks Pond, but it's a totally different perspective when you're a landowner, because you have noise, you have traffic, you have speeders, you have people running up and down the road with four-wheelers, golf carts, all that kind of stuff. None of that stuff's supposed to be on the road, but I mean, coming home today, I even passed a golf cart on 2nd Texas Road. Some of the things that I'm concerned about, how many wells are going to have to be drilled for the water supply for this place? She did answer about the how many spaces. The other thing I'm concerned about, knowing what I know from Rocks Pond, you've got to have somebody on that property 24/7 to monitor the comings and the goings and all the activity that's going on. You can't just be in the area. There's a concern also, are the roads in the park going to be paved? Or is it going to be dirt road? Or is it, I heard that the spots are going to be paved. I hope that's the case. Are any of those lots going to end up becoming, after we increase from 20 to 37, are any of those sites going to become permanent sites? Down at Rocks Pond, there's over 200 now that are permanent sites. It's not the way it was meant to be, but because there's really nobody monitoring, that's what's really happened. And the last thing I'm concerned about is the deterioration of 2nd Texas Road is significant. Even though they were out there repairing today, it's not sufficient. And the fact that Radio Road is a cut-through between 1st Texas and 2nd Texas, it's going to be a prime place for people to run through with their golf carts, with their four-wheelers, and that's only going to cause more problems for the residents on Radio Road as well. That road, if you've ever driven down it, is, in some places, barely passable by one car. And no matter how much complaining goes on, we're 38 on the list to be paved. And paving's probably going to even invite more people to come down that road. We know that Radio Road is used as a pass-through, especially on Memorial Day weekend when Texas community have their big celebrations, as they've had all, many, many, many years. And last year, for sure, I know that the sheriff's department was directing the people to come down Radio Road instead of going up to 15 and come back down 2nd Texas Road. For the homeowners, there's no advantage to this RV park coming. I fully believe that anybody that has property should be able to develop it in whatever way they want to, as long as it isn't detrimental to the rest of the community. And so I humbly ask you all to consider not giving this variance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leggett. Any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak for or against? All right, please come forward. Again, if you would, just state your name.
Ryan Hyde, H-E-I-D.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Live at 435 7 Acres Road in the Texas community. Just now hearing a few more detailed plans about the park. That's good to know. I just knew that it was an RV park at the beginning. I can only comment on the property's past use by its owners. Obviously, we can't predict the future. If we could, it'd make your jobs a lot easier, right? So I took the opportunity over the last couple of days. I reviewed the past several years of club flyers announcing events at the location. Many are adult-oriented, essentially operating as a strip club during these events. I can't find a record of an ABC license for the establishment. As you know, without an ABC license, nobody's coming to check to make sure that people are complying with the terms of that license. I've had the great opportunity as a young man to spend a lot of time RV camping. And most of the places that we RV camped were near areas of attraction, historical places, national parks, state parks, things like that. And as wonderful of a place that we all think St. George is, it's not a tourist destination. So with the reputation of the club on the property, one's natural conclusion, mine anyway, is that it would be used to extend the stays of those visiting the club or simply to live in. And other people have mentioned it, but I'll mention the roads. Let's say I'm totally wrong and that the Texas community is the next premier destination for the RV traveling public. I don't think I am wrong. But Second Texas Road just can't support that kind of additional traffic. In my opinion, as a guy who drives it every day to North Charleston, it's outlived its usefulness in its current state. So I wouldn't want to pull a travel trailer down it if it was mine. In my opinion, the county got the zoning right the first time during the creation of this AR district, the Agricultural Residential District, which, as you know, provides for agricultural and residential use in rural portions of the county and is intended to preserve the viability of existing agricultural operations, natural resource areas, and open space. Nothing in this application seems to go toward that. I'd like to ask that you deny it, please.
Mr. Height, thank you. Anybody have any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against? All right, okay. No, sir, if you want to speak, please come forward. Good, sir.
Mike Gilbert.
Mike Gilbert, thank you, sir.
I live close to them, to where the bar is. Every weekend, it thumps, booms, booms. I don't like that. I think if we got an RV park in there, them guys are gonna be playing their music all night long. I don't wanna hear it. So, that's my opinion. They pretty well said everything that need to be said. So, that's all I got to say.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
All right, anyone else to speak for or against? All right, at this time, we will close public comment. All right. Any discussion, any motions, any ideas? I know that this is a new topic that, pardon the pun, that we're breaking ground with. You know, this is something new to a lot of the counties, and it's a growing trend, so we're had our hands full with them. Any comment or motions?
I'll make a motion that we defer this to the next meeting. I feel like the applicant didn't have a chance to provide all the details that came into question. Site plan, there's questions about the well being drilled. I think it needs to be addressed. Hours of operation. And I think it would be helpful for the community to provide information about that, that building in the back, whatever happens there, and the plan for that, if that's going to continue being a kind of an accessory to this, or what it's going to be. So I'd make a motion that we defer this to the next meeting. I think that should give enough time to provide the information.
Okay, we have a motion to defer to allow the applicant to kind of gather and get the rest of the information so that we can have a kind of a full set of plans. Hopefully, we can get those plans also deferred to TRC so that they can get to look at them, or
We could run it through the April TRC meeting, which would be prior to the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting.
so we can get some feedback from them. And I believe your motion was in the direction to include some of the more factual questions brought up by the community.
Definitely.
And trying to address those as well. So if that's kind of the gist of the motion, is there a second?
I second, Mr. Chair.
We have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, vote by the usual signs. Aye. Votes unanimous. All right. Now we will be going to old business. Thank you, folks, for coming out. We have a variance request from section 10-411 to allow extended hours of 24/7 operation for mineral resource extraction. The applicant was John Marion Clayton, was represented by Green Tree Reservoir. We deferred this on the basis, or at the request of one or more board members wanting a little more feedback from the actual school board as they were brought up in regards to relation with the hardship. We have received information from the board. If I may, I'll read this. Ms. Phyllis Hughes has stated that she is currently the chairperson of District 4 School Board. As chairperson of the board, one of her duties is to act as public spokesperson for the board when it is appropriate to do so. In the matter involving the sand pit, the board has not taken any formal action to authorize me to make a statement on behalf of the board or the district. As a member of the board and citizen of the community, I can tell you that the safety and security of our students and staff is a priority to the board and me. I believe the board will consider any information that is presented to us and determine if it is appropriate to issue a public statement or take other action at that time. So we have that set forth, and then we have also been provided with some information that was requested from the representative and the contractor in regards to this pit being operated under a DOT permit for the purposes of I-26. So at this point, that concludes any further comment. Is there any motions at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into executive session.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to go into executive session at this time. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I second.
We have a second. All in favor, vote by the usual signs. Aye. The ayes have it. We will return here shortly. Was not posted in the meeting or in the agenda. that we would go into executive session. So is there a motion to amend the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we amend the agenda to include an executive session.
We have a second. Any further comment? All vote by the usual signs. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go into executive session for further discussion.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, vote by usual signs.
Aye.
Aye. We will return.
Okay.
For the record, we are returned and completed executive session. There were no decisions made in executive session. It was for purely legal counsel. At this time, the board will entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to deny the request per criteria 1 under section 14.4.4, which is there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property in question because of its size, shape, or topography. There's been no information presented that show a hardship due to said size, shape, or topography.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
We need to make a motion to bring us back into general session.
I believe that was not needed.
Yeah, when our council comes in from executive session, they just announce that they're
We
no
do not.
longer in executive session.
Okay, okay.
All right. So given that aside, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
We have a second by Mr. White. At this time, we will vote by the usual signs. All in favor to deny the request, vote by usual signs. Aye.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous. The variance is denied. All right. At this time, do we have any further information, any further news?
No new business.
None. I'd like to thank the board members for being here tonight. Is there any further public comment? All right, at this time, we'll have a motion to adjourn. Mr. Reeves says a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, vote by usual signs. Aye. Motion is adjourned.